Dude, no matter what movie comes out, no matter what I see in the theater, no matter how hyped up a movie is, they just don't make them like they used to. Is what some people say. AMC Entertainment records its highest domestic and global May attendance since 2019. That's pre-COVID. This May has been a great month for movies. It's been talked about ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But for those of you who don't know, there have been 2 movies this month released by young filmmakers. One being Curry Barker's Obsession, which was my second most anticipated movie of the year, so I'm glad that it was as good as it was, dude. And the other being The Backrooms by Kane Parsons, who was the original creator of the YouTube series that inspired the movie. It's been so interesting because obviously as a filmmaker, an aspiring filmmaker, I've got a movie coming out in 2 months. So this is really cool to me that the 2 biggest movies in the month of May 2026 were by these 2 young dudes. Dudes has nothing to do with it. 2 young people. Naturally, I'm following every movie that's coming out. And this month in May, there was a Star Wars movie released. The Mandalorian and Grogu came out this month and got obliterated by these 2 young filmmakers' movies. Obsession has been smashing records left and right. It's the first movie since E.T. that's not a Christmas movie to gross consecutively more the second weekend and then the third weekend. Most movies, they have a great big first weekend, opening weekend, when everyone goes to see it, everyone that's anticipating it, and then it will kind of peter off. But Obsession made more the second weekend and more the third weekend, which I think happens when you have a genuine good movie. And so this brings me to my topic today that I hear constantly, that there are no good movies. They just don't make movies how they used to. I'd go to the theater if there was something to watch. Things like that. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the state of movies, a little bit about the state of movie theaters, and what I predict is going to happen in the future going forward with movies. So if you're interested in that, stick around. But first I want to say, if you haven't seen Obsession or The Backrooms, go check both of them out. Please go watch them in a theater. They're still in the theater. Obsession was supposed to come out on digital. We'll talk about this in a second a little bit, but Obsession was supposed to come out on digital last week, and it was making so much money and it was doing so well in the theater that they said, no, let's leave it. But we'll get to that in a second. You've probably heard, or you've probably said yourself, that they just don't make movies like they used to, which I can maybe understand that sentiment. By used to, I think people are referring to The Matrix, E.T., Star Wars, Indiana Jones, these classic big movies that are iconic and they're larger than life. I think it's a product of the death of the monoculture. I don't want to get too deep into that, but monoculture meaning, take Michael Jackson for example. Back in the day, Michael Jackson was like the GOAT. He was the man, and every single person knew Michael Jackson. Maybe not everybody enjoyed him, but everyone knew him. He was an icon. That used to be the culture, because you had radio and you had cable television. You had a few channels on the radio and you had a few channels on the TV, and most of them were playing the same thing. There just wasn't as much content. And so these movies became iconic and everyone holds them so dear because they were these big movies for general audiences. Now, this is just a working theory. I don't know any of this for a fact. I haven't done any studies. But as we've gotten to be more of a society of algorithms, everything in your Instagram, in your TikTok, in your YouTube is hyper targeted. And we know this, we're very aware of this. And so as that has become the culture, we no longer have these really big universal household names. Household names isn't even a household name anymore. It's not even a thing. There are no household names besides maybe Taylor Swift and DiCaprio, but those people are still from the before time, in my opinion. And so I think it's a product of that now movies have become a little bit more intimate in years past, a little bit more, I don't want to use the term niche, but they've just become a little bit more individualized and a little bit more, niche. They're not really being made for general audiences, besides things like The Avengers or Top Gun Maverick was maybe the last big blockbuster. And so you could make a case that movies in the last decade are different. I think they probably just are different. Or maybe the culture is different, who knows? But to say that there are no good movies is just absurd. And I don't think it's these people's fault. And maybe we can talk about that in a second. I don't think it's their fault necessarily. I think a big problem is marketing. And that goes back to the monoculture and the targeting. I think some things are very targeted. Some movies are very targeted through social media, that some people will only see this film in their feed and other people will have no idea that this film even came out. Like, I remember The Mummy, Lee Cronin's The Mummy from earlier this year. Every single ad on my Instagram was Lee Cronin's The Mummy. But I guarantee you, if I asked my mom, hey, are you excited for Lee Cronin's The Mummy? She would have said, huh? She would have been talking about Brendan Fraser or something. And so that's a big part of it, I think, because we've destroyed this monoculture. We also don't have very many outlets to advertise movies to the whole world. Maybe the Super Bowl, but the only people that get Super Bowl spots are Star Wars, Disney. And so I think that's a big part of it. I think the people that think that there are no good movies in the modern era just are not being advertised those movies. And I would like to see it from other people's perspective, because the only reason, really probably the only reason I know movies are coming out are because I'm actively trying to stay up to date with certain directors, certain writers, certain actors. I'm actively trying to watch what they're producing. How many people knew what Eddington was last year? General public, probably not many, but I think some of those people might have enjoyed the movie, but they don't get advertised to. I think personally 2025 was the best year for movies, maybe, and this is gonna be a little bit controversial, ever. Maybe ever. I know some of you are probably whining right now, but listen to this. For horror movies, Weapons, 28 years later, Bring Her Back, Together, Companion, Frankenstein 2025, if you count that. Sinners, Final Destination, Bring Her Back is probably the best horror movie since Hereditary. Weapons, Zach Kreger is just the GOAT. 28 years later was divisive, but I loved it. Oh, Sinners, I forgot. Oh, I'm gonna get crucified for that. Sinners is... Guys, I need to rewatch it. I'm sorry. I really want to give it a fair shake, but I didn't love it. For comedy, you have The Phoenician Scheme, which is maybe my favorite Wes Anderson movie. You have Friendship with Tim Robinson, which I thought was hilarious. Eternity, which is a great rom-com. The Naked Gun, which is an incredible spoof. We're not even going genres anymore. You have Begonia. You have One Battle After Another. You have Marty Supreme. You have Hamnet, which made me sob 3 times. Guys, 2025 was insane. My point is, there is great stuff being released all the time. Beautiful movies. Let's circle back to what I was talking about earlier. Some people say movies aren't what they used to be. I kind of agree to a point until last year, because last year there were multiple times in multiple movies where I was sitting there and I was watching what was happening on the screen and I was like, wow, this is a movie. This is a movie. I will give an example. And a lot of people are going to call me a film bro, perhaps. There's a shot in Marty Supreme, the final showdown against Endo, when he asks for a rematch. He gets the crowd hype, and it's building, and then it cuts to a shot of this Japanese kid running up the stairs. And it's following this kid running up the stairs, and he goes and he joins his friend at the top of the stairs. And then we move from this group of kids to the match. And that shot, when I was watching it, I was like, this is a movie. That sounds stupid, but go watch that shot. It's very Spielberg. It just felt large. It felt larger than life, which I think movies have maybe been lacking. And maybe it's because they just haven't been making as much money. They can't go crazy on budgets. They can't make these big movies. Another movie that felt really big is One Battle After Another. They have these big set pieces. They have this beautiful score. It's just wonderful. And so I think things are changing. I think we might be getting back to those classics. So the argument that movies just aren't what they used to be, maybe for a time was valid, but I think it's changing now. I think movies are really coming back in a big way. It seemed kind of bleak for a while. Let's talk about the state of theaters now. At the end of last year, I think it was Begonia was in theaters for like 2 or 3 weeks or a month. And I remember when I was a kid, movies used to be in the theaters for 4 months. Now we're down to 1 month. Sometimes movies have been in the theaters for just a few weeks. And that was really, really sad for me. At that same time, Netflix was trying to buy Warner Bros. And it sucked because Warner Bros., I believe it was Warner Bros., was talking about how they're going to invest more money in original films. Because that year, their top 5 highest grossing or top 5 most popular movies were original stories. And so there was a time where I was feeling kind of stoked because they were talking about, we're going to bring movie theaters back. We're going to invest in original stories. And I was feeling hyped. And then this Netflix Warner Bros. Thing started happening. Ted Swarovski, whatever his name is, Ted Sanditsky, he was like, nah, man, we're buying you guys. We're buying Warner Bros. And we're never putting your shit in theaters. It's over for theaters. Nobody wants to watch movies in the theaters. My son just watched Lawrence of Arabia on his iPhone, and he loved it. I'm pretty sure that's a direct quote. Editor Broc, if that's a direct quote, find that and put that on the screen. Ted Sanditsky, he said, my son watched Lawrence of Arabia on his phone. And he loved it. And you will too. you're going to watch the Batman 2 on your iPhone and you're going to like it. It was looking bleak for movies. It was looking bleak for theaters. And let's talk about theaters for a second. I love the movie theater. It is my sanctuary. Every time I go into a movie, I sit down right before the movie starts, especially if I'm with other people, there will be tears in my eyes. No matter what movie I'm seeing, no matter how many times I've seen it, there will be tears working up in my eyes because I'm so happy to be in a movie theater surrounded by people about to watch a movie. That is my feelings for movie theater. Some of my greatest memories. I can recall probably every movie I've ever been to in a movie theater and who I was with, starting with Up in 2009 when I was 6 years old. I remember I went to Up with my mom and my grandma and my brother. So suffice it to say, I love movie theaters. Anytime I can get the whole gang to go to a movie with me, it is my happiest time. And I'll tell you why. I love watching movies at my house. It's fine. I've got a projector. I've got a little sound bar. I got a pretty big, screen. Got a nice little couch. I could get my snacks. I could pause it, whatever. But there's nothing like watching a movie with my homies at my house and just feeling the energy of when something happens and there's a jump scare or there's something in the corner and everyone's geeked and feeling the energy in the room. Now, crank that up a notch. That's what a theater is like. A theater is a place where you are surrounded by strangers, but you're all zeroed in on this story, on these characters. You're all sort of sharing this moment together, which we don't have a lot of outlets to do something like that because going back to earlier, everything is hyper individualized. How often do we get together and just share a moment together and share our attention on one thing? That's my argument for theaters. Now, let's talk about why most people don't want to go to movie theaters. Most people don't want to go to a movie theater because, number one, let's just nip this in the bud, it's expensive as hell. My local theater, they've removed all of the old seating, all of the old theaters, which is great. They've replaced it with these leather, reclining, climate-controlled seats and this premium projection and premium sound, which is great. But then they doubled the price of a ticket. A ticket now is, this year, I think it's like $18 to go watch a movie in any of the auditoriums in this specific theater because all of them have been luxurified. Like, yeah, cool, you're updating your stuff. That's wonderful. You're making the experience better, but you're pricing everyone out. Imagine having 4 kids. That's like $100,000. It's like $100,000 excursion. So price is number one. Number two is the people. The people in a movie theater. Now, the people, they can be the best and they can be the worst part of going to the movies. When people know how to act, they're locked into the movie, they're not on their phones, they're not yapping, but they're reacting when it's appropriate to react. That is the best case for watching a movie with other people. The worst case is when you have people sitting behind you, talking during the movie, making jokes, not even whispering. There's people, I just watched Scary Movie 6, but there was people next to me, sitting right next to me, talking full audible volume. The volume that I'm talking right now, that is the volume that they were talking in the movie theater while the movie's playing. And so you have that, or you have people sitting in front of you and they're scrolling TikTok during the movie on full brightness. What are we doing? And it just makes it unenjoyable for a lot of people. A lot of people would just rather stay home, watch a movie in silence without any distractions, which I totally understand. That's not on them. That's on the other people going to the movies. And I've seen a lot of people posting about the Backrooms, like it brought out all the Gen Zers. Apparently, a lot of people have been having some really bad experiences in Backrooms movies because the Gen Z kids going to watch for the Roblox cameos are being very disruptive and loud. And so there's a lot of discourse around that right now. So if you're listening to this, man, and you talk during a movie or are on your phone during a movie in the movie theater, dude, I'm not going to say don't come to the movies, but man, just, fix yourself, bro, because some of us are really trying to lock in and it just makes it a better experience. So let's bring it all back around. Movie theaters and movies, the state of cinema looked like it was dying a year ago. It was looking pretty bad. Movies are getting better, but the state of streaming versus theaters was looking pretty bleak. Fast forward to May of 2026, and we have a billion-dollar company and their slop movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, getting smacked up and down the block by my boy Curry and my boy Kane and their movies. And you want to know why? It's because Curry and Kane cared deeply about what they were making. And I don't know about the Backrooms, but I've been watching a lot about Obsession. Everyone on Obsession cared really deeply about what they were making. They had an idea and they had passion and they went and made something, and it translates to the movie. Now, guys, go watch movies in the movie theater. Open up. If you haven't been to the theater in a while, start with Obsession, start with Backrooms. Maybe go check out Disclosure Day this weekend. Spielberg is back. John Williams is back with the score. Go see it with a group of people. If you're a kid or an adult, I've met a lot of adults that have problems in the movie theater. Just be respectful, man. And if you are a person who wants to make movies, now is the freaking time, bro. Now is the time, brother. Go out and just make some stuff. Or if you just have a passion about anything, doesn't have to be movies. If you're into making music, painting, art is coming back in a very real way. So go out and make something. Go to the movies, guys. If you're interested, my first feature film comes out August 21st. It's called They Will Remember My Name. There's a teaser trailer on this very channel. If you're new here, subscribe. I've got a couple short films on here, and I'm going to be making movies for the foreseeable future, and probably some more movie videos. I'll just talk about whatever I want to talk about. If there's a movie that's of note that I have a lot to say, I will make a video about it in a timely manner. Thank you so much for watching. Comment your top 3 movies from 2026 so far. I'd be interested to hear them. I'd be interested to debate you in the comments. But yeah, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.